Hey everyone, and welcome to the Being Politely Rebellious in Pompey video podcast. I think one thing that we can all agree on is that it can be really hard to dismantle dysfunction. There's absolutely a clear correlation between having role models and people around you who have reached elements of success, and the effect that this then has on your own abilities to find what freedom looks like to you. Perhaps it's finding a new job, sitting those exams you've been putting off, or leaving that abusive relationship. Our aim here at Being Politely Rebellious in Pompey is to give you an insight into politely rebellious humans who are living out their dreams right here in Pompey, despite facing obstacles along the way. We've just wrapped series 1 and we're ready to share 7 incredible journeys with you. All we ask of you is to like, subscribe and share these incredible stories. And be nice. Always be freaking nice. At the end of the series, all new subscribers will be entered into a prize draw, which we will record and announce right here. So if you want to see series 2, please remember to do all the free stuff. Like, subscribe, share, and enjoy series 1.
And we have these gatekeepers that are choosing what to show. Yeah. And if they've got a car that's just crashed, or they've got a baby that's been born with a tooth, they're going to give us a car crash, aren't they? Yeah. So, and all I used to get from people was I sat there with paper and crossword was, what's a pretty thing like you doing in here drinking on her own? Yeah. And that was a constant thing. I just used to think, God, I really have turned into my dad in some ways. I love it. Like literally, I will. That's why I'm hoping just to keep coming back. Yeah. And it's just absolutely beautiful. And there's no one like Pompey people. No, we've got our own dialect. Yeah. There is no one.
We've got our own dialect. We really have. Oh my God. So welcome to Being Politely Rebellious in Pompey, and today we're joined by the wonderful Bryony Best. Hi Bryony.
Hello.
How you doing? All right?
Yeah, I'm not too bad.
I sounded really Pompey then, didn't I? How are you doing now? All right?
I'm alright, you're right.
I love that you came dressed in blue as well. Strategic / just meant to be.
Just meant to be.
Looks incredible. So I wanted to get you in today to kind of get to know you and a bit more about like your background and your journey. I know that we learned so much about you from your books, which is absolutely incredible. You're on book number 5 now,
yeah.
Due to be released soon?
Very, very soon.
Very, very soon. I can't wait. So yes, of course, we've got to know a lot about you. I know some of the books are based like partly on fiction, but there are obviously some elements of true life, which is incredible. But tell us a bit about you. Tell us a bit about, I know we've got some lush, lovely photos that we're going to throw in there. Tell us a bit about Bryony in her early days. Where were you born and who to?
Well, I was born in Pompey.
Yeah, amazing.
Girl from Pompey,
That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear.
I actually grew up in Portchester.
So did you?
Yeah, Portchester and Paulsgrove.
Oh.
So I was, I come from a working class family, or maybe below average income, if you want to put it that way. My mum worked all the time, and my dad not so much.
Were they in the same house?
Yeah, they were in the same house a lot of the time. My dad would work on construction sites once in a while, or go off and do some type of labouring role. Yeah. But my dad had his own demons. He's an alcoholic.
Oh, okay. So your mum was like she brought the stability to the household.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. She was and I always say it's funny because my mum's a workaholic, my dad was an alcoholic, and I got the best of both.
That is so true. If you could summarise you, there you go. I mean, not that you're an alcoholic now, but like, you know, you've got the best of both of them. Because at the end of the day, yes, you had that experience, but it's made you who you are, right? Yeah, okay. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I've got 3 brothers and 3 sisters, but I'm the youngest, so I actually grew up with 2 brothers in the house. Yeah. And the rest of them were grown up and moved away, or maybe they had their own children at that time as well. But I grew up in the 80s where people weren't scared to let you go out on a bike without a helmet. Not that you should. Or you could eat 5-day-old meat that was left on the side. Again, not that you should. Or your mum would just throw you into a pit of glass and be like, come back in 6 hours. So I think we're got a little bit strong because of that.
Yeah, I think you're right, you know. A bit more grit about us, a bit more, you know, I don't want to say seen more. We probably have. Not necessarily things you should see. But so, where did you go to school? Did you go to school up in Paulsgrove or Portchester?
So I went to school in Portchester.
Yeah.
Originally I went to Wicker Primary School. And then whilst I was still at Wicker Primary School, we moved to Paulsgrove because my mum got bored of decorating the same house.
As you do.
So you can imagine.
She sounds like somebody who's got endless energy.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
She's still on the go now.
Really? And how old is she now?
She's 78. 78.
Wowza.
And she only retired a little while ago.
Wow, that's incredible, isn't
Yeah,
it?
she retired first of all when she should have. And then she just said she got bored, so she went back to work again and just carried on.
Wow.
But she's still up and about and
She doesn't need any help or anything. She's got
No.
her wits about her.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, the mouse still works.
Yeah. Are you close?
Me and my mum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you?
Oh god, yeah.
Oh.
I love my mum to death.
She must be so proud of you.
Yeah, I'm her favourite.
Yeah. Heard it here. Not ashamed to say it.
No.
Well done, go on, girl. So you moved to Paulsgrove. Did you go to secondary school up that way, or?
Not really. I didn't. I went to. I was enrolled at Portchester Community School because all my brothers and sisters had gone there, and I only went to school a little bit really. My family were quite poor. We needed money, so I was taken out of school.
How old?
I think it started right from year 7.
Oh.
I was kept off of school to go to work.
Oh wow.
And then as my hours would increase, then I would be off school more and more and more.
Where were you working?
I was working at a cafe at the time and also for a sales company.
Yeah.
I used to work under my brother's national insurance number.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So I was too young.
Did you look older? So
I was served for alcohol in shops from the age of 12.
Oh wow.
And pubs.
There's a photo that you sent to us of you, and I think it's with your mum, and you've got like blonde hair.
Yeah.
How old would you have been? Because you can tell that it's years ago. 17. Yeah, but you look mature, not old. I mean,
no.
like you're dressed mature, your makeup, you know.
I was going clubbing. I was going to, I think it was Fifth Avenue at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously I was too young to get in, so you shouldn't do that. And me and my brother shared the same bleach, and it was not a good idea. I bleached his hair, I bleached my hair, and we looked ridiculous.
Do you know what's funny actually is when you sent us those pictures, and I sent them over to Leah, obviously to keep on file, and she's gone, huh? I was like, what? She was like, Bryony, blonde?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I was like, before, Bryony was releasing her books, when I knew you years ago, which we'll come to at some point, but you were always blonde, and I was the opposite. When I first saw you again later in life and you had really dark hair, I was like, oh yeah, oh, and I mean you get away with both, to be fair.
Thank you. A lot of people say it suits me better darker.
Yeah.
I only went dark because I actually damaged my hair and it went grey.
Right.
It went really like a dirty colour, deep grey. And then I had to go brown and I cried my eyes out. Oh. And then I went black. Yeah. But my hair's still naturally light. I mean, I've got mascara and I draw my eyebrows on. Right. And my hair's still white.
Oh, okay.
So
you're very
if I let it grow out
naturally.
and go in the sun, it'd be blonde still. Mm-hmm. So when people say to me, oh, you see you've got Irish in you, dark hair, light eyes, I'm like, my hair's blonde.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think it suits me more.
No, it does. And your eyes pop.
Oh, thank you.
Pompey blue eyes, very pretty. So you didn't really get the secondary school experience then?
Not particularly. I mean, when I used to go to school, I actually felt very isolated.
Yeah.
I could have been popular, or according to when I bumped into some friends from school, years later they said I was popular, but I didn't really click into anyone's groups. Right. So there was all these different groups, like the popular kids, the one who weren't so popular, and I wasn't in any of them. I didn't feel like I could connect with people at school. Their problems were about their nail varnish and about a party, and mine was like, I wonder if my dad's going to go on a bender this weekend. Yeah. I wonder if I'm going to get a beating this week. I wonder if we're going to be homeless this week. My problems were very different to their problems, so I didn't feel like I could connect with them. So I used to go to school mainly on a Monday because I was part of the netball club. Yeah. But apart from that, I didn't really go much. I went for maybe the first year off and on, and then that was it really. Yeah, that's tough. I was put up a year in Wicker School, and I was put in the advanced groups because apparently I'm quite intelligent. Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt in that.
So it's a shame that I couldn't take that further. Yeah. But we needed the money, so
you did what you had to do.
Yeah.
So would you find that when you were at school, that you would like flip between groups of people, or you would just find yourself alone?
Sometimes I'd sit on my own. Yeah. And I even found that later in life I'd be surrounded by friends, and yet I'd leave them and go clubbing on my own. Yeah. So I think I do like my own company.
Self-sufficient.
I had a few good friends. I mean, some of them were in the book. Hannah's in the book and Leanne's in the book from school. Yeah. So I was friends with them, but then one of them actually moved away. It was Leanne. She said that I was never at school, so she was moving to a school in Paulsgrove, so she could be close to her friends because she was from Paulsgrove as well. And I had another group of friends, but I wasn't going to school, so that friendship just fell apart. So no, I didn't really flip between the groups, but there was no one that didn't really approach me either. But I think I spent a lot more time on my own maybe than...
I suppose, does that explain a bit about, I guess, why you're so close with your brothers? Because I know there's one brother in particular that you've lived with, and like you're obviously really close with him. What's his name again?
Brand.
Yeah. So you're really close with him, and would that stem back to obviously being in a bit of a chaotic household and relying on each other with obviously your dad and his addictions, and then if you're not going to school and you're all working, then I guess you're bouncing off of each other in some way, shape or form?
I would say that, because me and Brand grew up in the same household, we went through a lot of similar journeys, but our journeys were different as well.
Right.
And Brand stood up for me a few times. That causes a nice bond. But then we fought like cat and dog as children. Literally cat and dog. We were horrible, literally horrible. And then years later, when I then went on into full-blown drink and drug addiction, Brand didn't go that way, he went the fitness way.
Oh wow.
So we went our separate ways.
But you lived together during some of this?
When we came back together, he invited me around his house and he said he wanted me to come and live with him, because this is when I was trying to get off the drink and drugs. And as I've explained before, it wasn't just as simple as giving everything up, I had to slowly start doing things. So I then started living with him again. But there's a time when I thought, and this is going to sound really strange, that I thought me and him were like soul twins, because me and him are so similar. My friends would say having a conversation with him was like having a conversation with me. Our mannerisms, our points of view, the fact that none of us want children, our ways of looking at outlook on life is so similar. I was like the girl version, he was the boy version, and I think that's why we're so close.
Oh, that's adorable. And so even though he knew that you had these addictions and that you were going through these struggles, he still was like, I'm opening my doors, I want you to come into my home and find a better way.
Yeah, he wants to
that's
take care of
incredible.
me. Even when we completely lost our path, I was living at Cromwell Road, and it's when I was probably in some of my darkest times, and I just had this envelope pushed from my door. Me and him hadn't spoken in a long time, and it was a cassette, and on the front it said, to know where you're going you have to know where you've been. And the cassette was one from when we was children. We used to record in the 80s, we would record tapes and pretend we was on the radio.
Oh, I remember doing
For anyone
that.
who doesn't remember that.
Yes, I remember doing that.
That progressed into recording
and you didn't
ourselves.
even need a microphone or anything. You just hit record and just through the speaker it was life-changing stuff. Record the top 40.
I had a cassette of some of the recordings from when we were children, then some of us as teenagers being a little bit naughty, and then some of him, because he's a musician, him playing me songs that would speak to me on a different level, I suppose.
Oh my god, that's so adorable.
Yeah.
And then how long did you live together? During, like, as adults?
As adults, I think I moved back in when I was about 22. 22 is so difficult. When I'm doing my books, I'm like, what date was that?
It's not that we're old.
Yeah.
We're getting old.
I think it works out that we've lived together for over 20 odd years. So we went our separate ways in 2018. And that's not because we chose to, it's because we were forced into that situation.
Right.
So 4, 5, 6 years without him. I miss his guitar. I miss hearing a musician constantly.
Do you see him regularly?
I don't see him that often, if I'm honest, but that's because I don't really see anyone. I just work all the time, 5 jobs. But I'm going to be, we're going to be doing an interview on the radio actually coming up soon, so he's going to be seeing me, not next week, week after,
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. That's amazing. And I know you touched really briefly on your addictions. I know you kind of slid that in ever so slightly, but obviously in your books you talk really openly and freely about that. Can you pinpoint where it began?
I can tell you the exact moment that I knew I was an alcoholic.
Right.
Yeah? So I was working at Port Solent. I must have been 16 and I was the head waitress there, and I would drink all day at work and then I'd come home, carry on drinking, and because I was 16 I was still a child really, so I just collected my bottles after I finished drinking a bottle of spirit. I'd put it on the side, and quite sadly I think I'd run out of alcohol and I'd come home from work And I started phoning all of my friends. This is when the shops weren't 24 hours, you couldn't get a drink at 3 in the morning. And I started, especially in Portsmouth, there's no shops really open.
No.
So I phoned everyone I knew trying to get hold of alcohol, and I couldn't. So I started getting all my bottles from the side. There must have been about 30 empties for the week.
Wow.
And I started tipping all the drips out to get a drink. And I remember thinking, you've got a problem.
Did you accomplish it?
I mean, I didn't get much from it. Yeah, but I didn't get much from it. But yeah, and I knew then, I was like, you've got a problem now. You've turned into your dad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. What then was your next thought of, I know it's hard to recall, but you're in this moment of trying to get what you can, the dribbles out of the drinks from the bottom of the bottles. You realise you've got this issue. Do you just fall further into it?
You then start looking for something to smoke.
Yeah.
Because you've just run out of drink.
Yeah.
I then started searching the house from previous days when I used to hide E's in my piping and that lot, so my mum wouldn't find them when I used to be selling E's. So I'd go looking for that, you'd go looking for anything.
Yeah.
I don't know how I even made, I mean, this was like 2-3 in the morning now, because I used to work till quite late at night.
Yeah.
I suppose the first thing I would have done was got up and gone out and somehow got myself a drink.
Yeah. And would you partake on your own as well as with other people? It didn't matter?
Didn't matter.
Yeah. Drink, drugs, whatever.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
My favourite line is, and you imagine quite a young girl sat in the pub, down in whiskey, and all I used to get from people was I sat there with paper and crossword was, what's a pretty thing like you doing in here drinking on her own?
Yeah.
And that was a constant thing. I just used to think, God, I really have turned into my dad in some ways with the crossword and the newspaper.
Yeah. At such a young age.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then how many years did that go on for?
I went into rehab in 2005, so it went on for a very long time. By the age of...
But you were still really young though.
Yeah.
So how old would you have been in 2005? Like,
oh God,
19, 20? Because you're not much older than me, are you? You're only like a couple of years, I think.
2020, so 16, 17, 18, 19, 21.
God.
Yeah.
And that was your first experience of going into rehab?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a funny experience.
Were you there for long?
I was there for 6 weeks in total, but I had a few weeks where I was there, and then you start getting like a day release thing.
Yeah.
That's just hard, because at least when you're there, there's not just a pub that you can... Walking past a pub and smelling stale beer to me is like a starving person smelling bacon. It's like,
inviting. Yeah.
Like that smell. Giving up the drink was so much harder than giving up the drugs.
Yeah. Because it's so accessible though, right?
Yeah.
And it's not illegal. So there's less guilt associated with it, for sure.
But the drink was just... I mean, it had a hold of me for years. I didn't just give up my drinking.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave up I didn't have a drop of alcohol for 2 weeks when I was in rehab.
Yeah.
Then I come out, my dad died, and I used that as an excuse to go back on the drink.
Did he die from his alcohol addiction? Was there any relation?
That's a whole other story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a whole other possible murder investigation.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's deep.
Yeah, but he was still drinking up to
then. Yeah, but there's some dodgy ground around that. Fair enough. Did you have a moment when you were in rehab, so during that 6 week period, where you realised that you didn't want to live that life anymore?
No, because I wanted to carry on. I wasn't ready, no.
Yeah.
I went into rehab because at the time I was what's classed as a functioning alcoholic.
Okay.
So I was working multiple jobs. I was taking drugs and finding drugs for other people, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And my life was quite a dangerous life. I slept with 2 knives under the bed, baseball bat by the side, I had an axe in my kitchen. So I needed to have my wits about me.
Right.
And then my speech started coming out backwards and I started blacking out for 5 days at a time.
Wow.
So I had all the normal stuff like vomiting, blood in the stool, that type of stuff happens when you're alcoholic, you get used to it. Stomach ulcers, excruciating pain, you get used to that, the shakes, the sweats, it's all part and parcel. But when I started blacking out for 5 days at a time, I thought, people could literally get killed over me, or someone could be killed and I wouldn't know. So that's when I went and got assessed at Kingsway, and at the same time the sister got taken into hospital, she was pregnant, and we got told she just had preeclampsia. And then we got told that she was probably going to die and the baby was going to die. And then she decided, out of all the brothers and sisters, who's best to look after the kids if she should die? I know, Bryony.
Oh wow.
So I was like, I really should sort myself out. So that was
The sudden impact of
the sudden
responsibility in your face.
And doctors believed that I wouldn't have made it. I mean, I had my heart attack when I was 21. They believed I wouldn't make it to 30.
Yeah.
Here I am now at 40.
Yeah. Living your best life.
Yeah.
And looking younger than ever.
Thank you very much.
Pretty impressive.
Thank you.
So when was your epiphany? So you go through this journey, you've had this, you know, sort of childhood that isn't really a childhood. Would you say that's fair? Not if you were like working from a young age. It doesn't sound like you were out playing with skipping ropes or anything like that.
No.
And then into your early adult life, you continuing to be a grown up, but fighting all of these demons at the same time. But the thing that I just adore about you is that no matter what, you've always held down a job. You've always, like, it's not like you've been an alcoholic who's like on the dole, like scrounging off the system, or like, you know, you've always paid for your own vodka.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, but like you've always had this, you know, these two sides to you kind of thing.
Yeah.
Of, you know, yes, I've got this addiction, but I'm also, you know, kick-ass at what I do in my career. Like, how did you keep that going for so long?
I think it's a mixture of, I was raised by a very strong mother
You'll say, like you said,
who said you need to go to work, and I remember going back home once from the snooker hall, and I'd vomited on the bus in front of everyone, had to swallow it again and vomited again. I must have been about 14, I think.
Winning.
And I remember walking in, stripping off my clothes, like 4 in the afternoon, like stripping off my clothes and walked down the hallway, picked up the phone, phoned up my boss, and I went, I'm sick. I can't come in. And my mum went, you are going in. So she had a very strong will, you go to work. And then I moved out of home at a very young age, very, very young age.
Why?
So, sorry?
Why?
My relationship with my mum wasn't always so nice.
Right, okay.
My mum had her own demons as well.
Okay.
And I was paying my mum's £500 rent that didn't include food or drink at a very young age, like a teenager age.
Yeah.
And we were not getting along. I think my mum was going through some stuff as well. She'd been with my father and had a mentally abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And I think I received the butt of all of that.
From both sides, I imagine. And then probably the hormones from your brothers and...
So I had enough. So I just went, do you know what, why am I paying you rent when I could be elsewhere? So I moved out and we didn't talk for 3 years. We completely split apart. So I think that's another big reason why I managed to carry on functioning, is because if you haven't got anywhere to live or anywhere to fall back on, then you have to make your own money. You have to look after yourself. I've never borrowed a penny off of my mum or my family, and I've never had to rely on anyone except myself.
Yeah, so you've got to do what you've got to do. Yeah, no, I completely understand that. I mean, I moved out at 16, dysfunctional upbringing, just needed to get away. And same with me, when I've gone through my struggles of, you know, dabbling with substance misuse and drinking, and I always turn up to work. I mean, we ended up working at the same place for a while, didn't we? Same call centre back in the day. And I'd turn up with having had no sleep at all, sometimes hallucinating. And you just crack on and you get on with it, don't you? Yeah. So at what point did you have the epiphany, the moment of like, no, alcohol isn't for me in this way, I'm not going to be doing drugs anymore, I'm going to change my life around?
I wish I could give you a clean answer, but it's not clean.
It's not as straightforward as that.
It's not as straightforward as that. So,
and that's okay.
Yes.
And that's okay.
So it's always one day at a time, as they say in recovery. So if you look at it as 2005, when I come out of AA, that's the first time I gave up drink for 2 weeks from a very young age.
Yeah.
And then I went back on the drink and I started reducing my drug intake. So I got rid of got rid of the cocaine and just went down to street drugs like Valiums and stuff like that.
Right.
And what I actually did is I stopped drinking before I went into work, which might not sound like a lot, but to someone who drank till 4 a.m. and then got up at 6 a.m. and started drinking again, that's a lot. Yeah. So then I didn't start drinking until lunchtime. Then I cut out my lunchtime drinking. Then I started only drinking wine, because wine isn't alcohol really. So I started drinking wine in the evenings because it's not whiskey. So to me, and it sounds funny, but you believe
you
it.
do. I mean, I know
it's not really alcohol.
100%. I mean, I know guys who I know there are probably women that do this too, sorry, but who drink beer, And they're like, yeah, but it's just water, really, isn't it? It's not like I'm drinking rum or whiskey, you know. And there is this different perception of it, and no, it will still kill you, you know, whatever.
So that helped me reduce. So this is now slow, gradual, and then I started drinking just at. So I went from the evenings to just drinking at the weekends, and then over a period of, this is now years. This isn't like a 1 week period, 2 week period.
It takes a lot of time.
I then was only drinking on a Friday night. So the process was very slow for me. And in my latest book, I actually talk about one of my slips when I fell off the wagon, which I'd never shared with anyone before.
Oh wow!
Just to show that actually you can then jump back on.
Yeah.
But the truth is, giving up all of that stuff was a very slow, gradual thing for me, and I had to be able to live in this world sober before I could completely be sober. But I'd like to turn around and say that I don't drink alcohol because I know it's bad for me, or I don't drink alcohol because it's sent me to an early grave. Because I don't turn into a nasty person when I drink. I'm actually nicer drunk.
Okay.
But the reason I actually don't drink is because when I now drink alcohol, I have a complete meltdown and a psychotic break the next day. You won't see me for days. I won't answer my phone. I can't leave my room. The damage I've done to my insides means it's harder for me to actually get rid of it.
Yeah.
And loads of stuff that I've really, medical stuff that I won't share on here. And
it's just not worth it.
My sanity is why I now can't do it.
Yeah.
Long-term drinking drugs is a depressant. It is not something that's going to make you happy. It's a fool's game if you think it is.
Yeah.
Maybe once in a blue moon you might have a drink and think, oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
If you're doing it all the time, it becomes...
100%. Isn't it funny how, you know, the older you get, the more you can hear your body talk?
Yeah.
Like yesterday, the sun was shining and I was in the garden and it was just a beautiful day, wasn't it? And there was a bottle of rosé in the fridge. And there was a can of Sprite, because I don't drink a lot, and so when I do I might like mix it up a little bit so it's not quite so strong. And I was thinking, oh, I could have a nice glass of rosé, add a bit of Sprite, just slow myself into a Sunday fun day. And then I was like, what's the point? Like, I've got such a busy day today, I've got a busy week, and I know that it's going to make me feel like crap for like 2-3 days. More importantly, the thing that affects me the most is the sleep. If I don't sleep well, it's just don't even communicate with me. Like, I'm just not the greatest person. But it took me years to realise that that's the effect that these things have on me, and to be okay with that. And to be okay with, like, I'm not going to drink this weekend because I've got more important things that I'm focused on.
Yeah. I think there's a saying, something I read somewhere, and it says, you know you're old when you have to take 2 annual leave days if you plan on drinking at the weekend. And it's true, you know it's going to take you 4 days to feel normal, and then by the time you go normal,
not do it in the first place. You know what I mean? I like to partake in a few cocktails here and there, but not to the point where I'm like vomiting in the toilet. Those days have gone. Not to say I've not done it, because I've done it, but those days are definitely long gone. So it was a gradual, slow process, and then you say that you talk about obviously a slip up that you had, and that's in your book that's coming up, book that's due to be released. Do you want to talk about that at all now, or
the new book,
the slip up,
or the slip up? Oh, the slip up.
The slip up. Is it something that happened recently? Was it in amongst all of the pressure of everything that you've put on yourself, girl, the last like 4 or 5 years? No,
I think. In my new book, it goes from 2016 to 2022 or 21. Which you just finished it, you think I know that, the answer. And yet, it goes through how all the mundane and situation of life, the continuation, and then when you have the slip, what was different about that day? And that's what's really interesting. Is what is different, because you see me go through all those different barbecues where I was desperate to drink, I wanted to drink, times when I even had the whiskey bottle to my mouth and I let it go in my mouth and then I put the bottle back down, and that's how far I got. And yet that day I'd literally, my partner had a barbecue, I was on a high. It was the first time we'd had friends round because of COVID, so it was in the garden, it was a safe distancing thing. We had the barbecue, I resisted alcohol through the whole thing, and then everyone left and I thought, you've worked hard. And that was it. It was almost like an autopilot. I went and got a
reward.
Yeah, I went and got a litre of Disaronno out the cupboard, which isn't real alcohol either.
It's candy.
Turns out it is. And then I had a spiral for days and days afterwards, and it was horrific. And I'm not even going to hate myself for it because I've done so well.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes putting myself through the mental torment of the following day is almost like a reminder that no, you can't do this. You're not an average person who can have a drink. I mean, obviously not, because apparently I drank a litre of Disraeli that night.
Did you?
Apparently so. Which isn't much compared to what I used to drink,
yeah,
really.
of course, in comparison.
Yeah, and it actually got me drunk.
Yeah.
But before I could have 3 litres of Jack Daniels and just be a little bit like,
woo! Which was a bonus the next day.
But then it's so expensive to drink anyway as an alcoholic because you can't really ever get drunk, you just keep yourself on that even kill.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's more details of it in there, and there's nothing special about that day, that's the truth of it.
Yeah.
There was no trick. I always say to people, what's your trigger?
Right.
And when you first stop drinking, everything's a trigger. You feel happy, I want to have a drink. I feel sad, I want to have a drink. The sun is shining, I want to have a drink. Oh, it's raining outside, I think I have a drink.
Yeah.
So everything's your trigger. And then as time goes on, you actually find that trigger does reduce and reduce and reduce.
Yeah.
And less triggers, I suppose.
Do you partake in any form of like AA or therapy or anything like that to keep you on track, or like what is it that you do for you to keep you
with the drink? Well, I've actually recently started my own AA group.
Amazing.
Yeah. But that's something slightly different away from the Bryony stuff.
Yeah. And
it's really nice having someone to talk to that understands. So I tried NA, then I went to AA, and AA was actually really funny. They're a great bunch of people, do you know what I mean? They're all there for a laugh. No, it's serious, genuine.
Okay. Maybe I'll go.
Yeah, you should go. And hearing other people's stories and having people that you can relate to is really nice. But no, time and getting busy, I stopped going to AA. But now that I'm literally mentoring someone almost on a one-to-one basis and doing our own AA group, it really is giving me a safe space to talk to someone who understands. Because it's the same as anything, unless you've been there, and they'll never truly understand everyone's experience is individual to them.
Oh, 100%. In fact, me and my husband were talking about this yesterday. We were saying that you can have empathy with somebody and you can be empathetic towards somebody, but unless you've actually been through that same addiction or same mental health crises, then you can't understand them. It's an interesting one, isn't it? So, and I know that you're spiritual, so that's something that must really help to keep you, sane and together.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. If I didn't have my spiritualism and my meditation, I'm actually a spiritualist. Yeah. The religion spiritualism.
Yeah, but you're not religious in the sense of I went to AA and God saved me. That isn't what it is.
No, I'm not Christian.
Yeah.
No. So I do go to a spiritual church though.
Yeah. Look down Southsea?
I used to. I used to always go to the Portsmouth Temple. Yeah. But recently I've been going to Havant one because obviously where I live now.
There was one in Havant.
Yeah, there's one in Havant. So that really helps me, and it's quite scary to say, but it's probably what stops me from killing people sometimes. Yeah. Because I've got my spiritual.
I don't know why that didn't make me laugh.
Almost goes above the police
I just kind of expect
law.
that.
Yeah. It's just normal. It's just normal. Yeah, of course.
Intrusive thoughts.
Yeah. So it really does keep me on track, and it helps me to evolve and to use my higher thinking, and that's what helps me to keep continuously developing and improving.
Yeah. You do strike me as somebody who really values that in yourself and in other people.
Yes.
The ability to continuously kind of look at yourself and how can I do better, what can I do better, and just kind of appreciate the fact that you've only got one life and you should be taking advantage of it and finding your purpose.
Finding your purpose, yeah, definitely.
Because that's a journey you've been on, you're so much like even just going back to like 4 years ago. When was the Girl in Pompey
first released?
Yeah.
November 2021 was the first one.
Yeah, so it would have been almost. Oh my God, is that almost 4 years? Or was that 3 years? That's 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. That's crazy. And just thinking about your aura and how you look and present yourself compared to them, it's almost like chalk and cheese.
Yeah?
Yeah, in a good way. Like, I just feel like when you were first released in the book, and it would have come surely with lots of stress and anxiety, whereas now I feel like you're free. Like, you give me this sense of like, on Bryony.
Yeah.
You know, it's really cool.
I think it's because I've always known what I'm supposed to be doing. I've always worked spiritually. But what got in the way was my drink and drug addiction.
Yeah.
I mean, even in my recovery, I was teaching my own spiritual development groups.
Yeah.
Had my own circles. I've been a holistic therapist as well for quite a few years now. But I've not stood in and took my power and gone, do you know what, that's what I'm going to be doing myself now. But by finishing my main job and doing my healing, my spiritualism, my coaching, my mentoring and my books, they're all about helping people.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So there's a calmness that comes with that, and you can't help someone else until you help yourself. And even though I was still on my healing journey, and I'm always growing, I'm always developing, I'm not perfect, I don't claim to be perfect.
Absolutely.
However, once you can truly let go of trauma and you can truly realise that this is just an experience that we're having here, you can't really get upset with anything. I'm not saying I get angry. Cool. My partner will be watching this like, when I make the tea towel, she goes nuts. But how can you, to hold on to worry or anxiety, I mean, I'm going to be homeless in a few weeks' time, I've got nowhere to live. I don't care, it'll sort itself out.
It is what
What's the worst that can happen?
What will be, will be.
Yeah.
I love that saying, this too shall pass.
Yes.
I love that one.
That is actually mentioned in my new book.
Oh, really?
Honest to God.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I just feel like it's, and I think about that in times of good and bad.
Yes.
So something good, I say this too shall pass, because that reminds me to be present in the moment and to enjoy whatever it is that I have the joy and the luck of experiencing. And then also in bad times when things are rough and I'm skinned and I'm like, I'm going to launch a podcast and I don't know how. I'm like, you know, those feelings of anxiety and imposter syndrome, this will pass, this too shall pass.
Nothing's permanent, and that's the beauty.
Yeah.
For the good and the bad, really.
Yeah.
That's what makes something special.
Yeah. It's quite an impressive form of self-awareness, I suppose, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you've reached this element of self-awareness, you know, at some stage, and you've decided, right, I'm now going to share my journey with the big wide world, and share how I've managed to go from strength to strength to strength. Where did that thought process come in? I mean, have you always written in the background? Is that always something that's been a dream of yours, to become a published author?
No.
No.
Every author that knows me now is just screaming at the screen,
yeah.
I'm going to be one!
Yeah. I've worked my whole life. It doesn't take anything away from the credit. No credit is due, you know.
I've always written poetry.
Okay.
So I will be releasing a poetry book.
Amazing.
Ramblings of a Mad Woman.
But
I'm going to be releasing a poetry book.
Yeah.
And I never ever necessarily wanted to be a writer. Even when I finished writing that book, I didn't think, I'm going to be a writer. Okay. I'm going to be an author. I just knew I had to do it.
Right.
That was it. I knew I had to do it.
And you knew you had to do it to the point where you not just wrote it for your own personal gratification, you knew that you were writing it because you needed to release it.
Yeah.
You needed to release it to the world.
Yeah. And I never, it's hard to imagine, but I never thought to myself, how's the book going to do?
Right.
You don't really get to that stage. Well, I didn't personally get to that stage. And then when the book came out, I just thought, I hope some people buy it, but that literally as vague as that. I hope
you didn't have this big goal.
I didn't know it was going to blow up. I didn't know it was going to be so big.
Yeah.
And then when I'd done the second one, I hoped it would do well because I was enjoying what was happening. And then by the third one, I mean, I loved writing the third. Oh, I loved it so much. I mean, I love writing now.
Yeah.
I really love creating something. I've even had a go at short stories now.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can just write and help people and I'm good at it and I've improved so much. If you read the first book, I mean, I wouldn't let them edit the first book, which is why it's all a bit and then you see my writing now, you just, well, even my editors, like how different it is editing and how much I've improved as a writer. So, but now that is the dream, do you know what I mean? You want to, I'm enjoying it.
Do better and do more and have you already got number 6, like?
I'll be releasing, so I've got my next book coming out, and then I'm going to release a book on how to publish.
Oh wow.
Because I help an awful lot of authors with marketing and how to actually publish their books. So I'm doing all this for free. I'm like, maybe I'll just actually release a book doing it and see what happens.
Have you thought of doing like workshops or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing workshops for...
You're a qualified teacher, aren't you?
Qualified teacher, qualified trainer.
That'd be a really cool way to amalgamate
Yeah.
so much of your knowledge and skills and make it available to others.
Every single thing that I've been through, every trauma, every pain, everything I've overcome, everything I've qualified and experienced for, is what makes this possible for me.
It's who Bryony Best is.
I wouldn't be able to do. I wouldn't be able to be a coach. I wouldn't be able to be a mentor. I wouldn't be able to stand up in front of hundreds of people. I wouldn't be able to design a lesson plan in 5 minutes and then go in and start teaching people how to let go of trauma.
It's really powerful, isn't it? Because I think that all kind of envelopes itself into that whole notion of listen to the greater power, whatever that looks like to you, in whatever religious form or spirituality. Listen, and what will be, and what is supposed to happen. And you've got to trust in that sometimes, haven't you? Like you say, you know, I'm going to be homeless in 3 weeks, but you know, not because you don't care, but because you believe that there's a power so much bigger than us that will ensure that what's meant to be will be. You know, that's just really, really powerful, isn't it? What a cool way to be able to breeze through every day, just in. You know that when you go through the hard times and the, you know, the tumultuous relationships and the addictions, and you just can't be. You just can't be. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whereas then you reach a point in your life where you're all right and you can just be, and that's cool. Like, it's just, to me, that's when people say, what does success look like? Like, to me, that's success. Yeah, that is success.
Peace and fulfillment.
Yeah. So the new book. What's the name of the new book?
The Girl from Pompey, Escaping the Rat Race.
Escaping the Rat Race, and you're about to do it.
It's going to be published, yeah. It'll probably be out before this is aired.
Yeah, that's true. And you're escaping the rat race. Yeah.
Well, I started writing the book, and I had planned on writing about why I was going to do my big move. And then as I started writing, it evolved. It ended up being so deep and intrinsic. I thought, I'm going to have to cut this off so now I share with them up to the point of how I become a writer, which is the start of me escaping the rat race. So the book's about, it's really a tribute to anyone who's a frontline worker. And the traumas of working through the pandemic, the deaths, what was taken from us. It's a really deep and emotional book, but you've got my positivity and motivation shining through there. And I share a lot of my personal traumas that happened through that time, including how many times I was made homeless. Which is why I'm not that fussed now. Like,
it's not my first rodeo. And you know, I think that's something that we've not seen much of yet, is the raw truth of how the pandemic affected people.
Yeah, and what the beauty of it is, everyone had a different perspective. You had the ones who were maybe lost their jobs or were furloughed and had a chance to explore themselves, explore their hobbies, learn to fall in love with themselves again. And then you had the ones who lost their lives. They definitely at the worst end of the scale. And then you had the ones like myself that just carried on working and nothing really changed in my life, become full of fear and the possibility of killing my own partner and being responsible for his own death, which was highly likely, by the way. So my experience was completely different to someone else's, and I felt jealous of all these people that had this epiphany, but then, quite rightly, well, I didn't need that experience to have that epiphany because I was already there. I already knew and I already know what's important in life. It's not the job, it's how you feel about yourself and your loved ones that you surround yourself. It's the human contact, and a lot of people learnt that through COVID, but I already knew it.
Is that how you make people feel, right? Like, that's what I get up for every day, in why I do what I do. It's like how you make people feel leaves such a lasting impression. And actually, when you're really stressed and really anxious and really having a shit time, you're not able to do that as well. You're not able to leave that lasting impression on people that you want to leave, you know, of making them feel good. It can be real struggle, but then when you're in that zone of being able to do that, you're just like, come on, put 20,000 people in front of me, I'm ready to like shed the positivity and show you the way.
Make sure your cup's full.
But then you're also talking about cups, you're a very the cup's half full, right? And not half empty.
Half full.
Yeah, it's
always half full.
Exactly. So what would you say is the most politely rebellious thing you've ever done, Bryony?
Done a lot of rebellious stuff.
Yes, haven't we all? Yeah.
But you want politely rebellious. Okay, yeah. I'll give you something, because I think it's too boring to talk about changing my life in the books and stuff. Just give you something different.
All right.
So many years ago, I booked a holiday to Zante, and I was going to go with my niece, Kaylee.
Yeah.
She's an adult, by the way. Whenever I say I go out on my nieces are like
taking my 10-year-old to Zante on an 18 to 30s holiday. I bet 18 to 30s isn't even a thing anymore, is it? I bet they're not allowed to even age range it.
Probably not. It's probably upsetting someone.
Yeah.
And we had this holiday booked, and I planned to go over to Athens. That's where I wanted to go. Nice. Anyway, booked it all up, it's all sorted. And at the time, all of my friends were employed. Yeah. Not because I'm prejudiced, just the way it was.
Yeah.
And we were waiting for her passport to arrive, and it didn't arrive. And we then got to 3 days before we meant to fly. Her passport still didn't arrive. And she was just like, look, obviously I'm not going to be able to go. And I had 3 days to try and find someone, but they're all working, none of them could get a week off work. And everyone was like, like, you're going to miss out on Zante. And I was like, why? I was like, I will go on my own. So I phoned up the travel company, and I was like, oh, Kaylee's not going to make it. They went, oh, we're going to have to charge you under occupancy. I went, Kaylee is going to make it. Put the phone down. And then when I went on holiday, whenever they shouted out her name, I just went, where is she? Where is she? So I'm not paying a fee, but I've already paid for the room.
Yeah, why should you? That's crazy.
So I literally went on holiday by myself, and obviously I was quite young, it was quite a few years ago, and I had the best time ever. I mean, people thought I actually lived there and that I worked there, because people were walking around with all these like really nice holiday maker thing. There's me with a tin of beans and a loaf of bread walking home so I can make myself something in my self-catering. And I went to when I was there, I went to the room where they talked to you about all the excursions, how much it's going to cost. I'm sat there listening like, and I walked out of the room doing a bit of an excursion, and I went down all of them myself. And I just turned, like, got the bus there. They'd done this whole coach ride to this nice jet, and I turned up on the bus and just walked in behind them.
Did you take any like disposable camera selfies with Kaylee? Like,
I know I should have, shouldn't I? But like, oh no, she'll do it. So that was quite funny because everyone just assumed you're not going to go, are you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And no, I went and I had a whale of a time, and I mean, I like my own company anyway. I'm pretty awesome.
It's quite freeing, I think, when you go away on your own.
Yeah.
I've done it a few times when I was a lot younger, before I had
really
and stuff. Yeah. Went to Thailand. Went to
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. Yeah.
Oh, Thailand. That's the second. Oh, I don't know if I go to Thailand by myself.
Yeah. No, I did. Got some really dirt cheap flights that meant I had to stop in Dubai for like 24 hours, which was insane because I didn't realise. I was so naive and young. I just booked this ticket. It was like 400 quid, and I was like, oh wow, what a bargain. And then I realised somewhere along the line that there was this gap for 24 hours at Dubai. But in my naive state of mind, I think I was like 20 or 21. So when we got to Dubai, I went to the customer service desk. It was like the middle of the night, and I was like, oh, where do I go? Like, there's 24 hours before I connect to my flight.
Yeah.
In my mind, I assumed that they would put me up in a hotel or something. I mean, I hadn't. My first holiday was not when I was 19. It was the first time I'd ever been on any type of holiday ever. So by this point, I'd probably only flown a few times.
Yeah.
So I was very naive. And they were like, no, ma'am, no. What? Luckily, my housemate at the time, who I was sharing a flat with, her brother was a chef in Dubai. And him and his Filipino girlfriend put me up for the night. Yeah.
What an adventure, though.
Yeah, it was mental. Absolutely mental. But it's freeing, isn't it? And then I did get to Thailand, and I had the most amazing time walking around in my bare feet for 3 weeks and watching the sunrise on my own. Just love it. I love it.
It sounds beautiful.
Yeah. People should do more of that.
Yeah.
I think we're in this era as well of fear, right?
Yeah.
Social media, the news, like there's just so much fear everywhere. And I get it, like, you know, violence, and the world is not the nicest place right now, but I think back then the world probably wasn't that nice of a place, but you weren't scaremongered so much.
I think the same stuff still happened.
Yeah.
I just think we just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back even further in time, you've got to wait for a horse and cart to arrive with news that someone didn't pay their taxes 2 towns over.
Yeah.
I think it's just that we have the news is immediate, and we have these gatekeepers that are choosing what to show.
Yeah.
And if they've got a car that's just crashed, or they've got a baby that's been born with a tooth, they're going to give us a car crash, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I actually don't watch the news,
No, I don't.
and I don't follow media, because I think all they do is
Bryony.
is give us the negative, and I just want the
Yeah.
positive.
Oh,
So not because I'm ignorant,
Yeah.
and I do keep up to date with affairs.
I'm not anti-system,
but I don't
blah,
want to
blah, blah.
fill this with trash in, trash out, and that's going to be fear in, and the fear is going to take hold. So no.
100%. I totally get that. So what does the future hold for Bryony?
I'm moving into a whole new era, a whole new generation, a whole new career, a whole new everything, a whole new phase of my life, where I'm going to be able to live spiritually and work spiritually and energetically. I'm lucky that the message of my books, the mental health and the way they support people, works really. It's healing. It's a form of healing. You can read something and get information that heals you, or it can change your thought process that starts the path for your healing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be moving into a whole new way of living. I don't want to use the word hippie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to all of a sudden, I'm going to dress different and I'm now going to be classed as a hippie.
Yeah.
I just mean I'm going to be living my true self. And I've been having to, this is why the book's called Escaping the Rat Race, because if you want to live off the grid, or you want to live in a more freeing way, you have to have generally the money or the opportunity to do it. And to do that, you have to get in the rat race of life, to earn the money to then go off and buy yourself a bit of land, or do this or do that.
I think that's the process that a lot of people forget, right?
Yeah.
They forget that. And I think with the younger generation as well, they see the start and they see the finish, and they forget about the 20 years of hard graft in the middle, right?
Yeah. I think I've just talked about how nice I am and how I'm all like, oh yes, who knows what the future holds. But one thing that does infuriate me is when people say to me, especially with leaving my job at the moment, they go, well, what are you going to do for yourself? I work 5 jobs. I work 80, 90 hours a week, Karen. What are you talking about? And until you've done that for years and years and years, and people do see the success, but they don't see
what
the
goes
hard.
on.
They don't see the 17-hour day, and my fiance rolling his eyes because I'm still on, not on social media having fun, but marketing.
Exactly.
Or 4 in the morning when I'm talking to people in America.
Yeah.
And people have this stigmata that, oh, you're successful now, you're on TV, you're on radio, you're on podcasts, the best ones obviously.
Right.
Therefore you're successful, you're a best-selling author, you've got your own clothing line, life must be good. Well, if I was that rich and life was that good, I wouldn't be doing 5 jobs, would I?
Yeah.
So actually, unless I think they think of Stephen King or the people that have got book deals, film deals, the ones who are making that really, really big money.
Bucks,
That's not what's happening here.
No. But you do feel like you're moving into an era where you're going to be able to balance things better. You're moving into an era where you've sown some really freaking incredible seeds and some amazing foundations, and you can now reap the benefits of that.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're going to necessarily probably be working less. You know, you might work more, you might work harder, because you don't have that kind of 9 to 5 that you've got to contend with anymore.
Yeah.
But it's on your terms.
Yeah.
Right? And
okay. So in my book,
yeah,
I've hidden messages from my brother Brand.
that's so cute.
So stuff that only he would understand.
Oh my goodness.
And
I love that we've started with him and now we're kind of finishing with him, you know?
So he will understand them. There's little bits in there for him, and I can't tell you exactly what's in there because copyright and legal reasons. And I went to the spiritual church the other day because I took some people from my main job. And a lady came up to me, she said to me, she went, I'm going to give you a drawer, because it was an alternative line. She gave me this card, and it's working spiritually. You need to be of service, which is obviously what I'm doing now. By doing all my books, all my stuff, everything I'm doing or moving into is working of service for them.
Yeah.
And then she turned around to me and she went, you've just got to keep the faith. And that's one of the hidden messages, word for word, that I've given to my brother in the book. And it's what I keep saying at the moment about the moving house and the changing all the jobs and getting rid of that, where the main income comes from. And I've been saying I just need to keep the faith, and that's exactly what came out of her mouth.
Wow.
Not that I need that validation.
But
it's
she
just,
said that to you, but
she
you've
said
already written this into your book.
Yeah.
For your brother.
Yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
The way the universe
So it's just,
works.
and I don't usually get that type of validation. When I was first learning spiritualism, you might see the lights flick and all that type of stuff happen that you assume you'll get on films like Poltergeist and stuff like that. But as you develop more and more and more, you're so in tune that those type of things aren't really happening. Well, for me, that's the case. So to have that type of evidence, because the more you develop and as your higher thinking evolves as well, it's less about them showing evidence and more about you learning. So to have that just thrown at me was really cool. was interesting.
It's for the soul.
Yeah.
Just you take like a nice breath.
I mean, I've got 2 booked for next month, which is about releasing trauma, and I'm actually teaching people practical tools that they can take away. So it's not just talking; it's actually going, I'm going to teach you something that's going to help you.
Yeah.
So that to me is perfect.
Powerfully perfect, actually.
Powerfully perfect.
Yeah. No, I absolutely adore it, and I'm just really glad that you found your freedom.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. One of the things that we've been working on recently with Politely Rebellious is what we need a tagline, and what does that look like, and I've had to sit there and have conversations with people who are saying to me, well, what does Politely Rebellious mean to you? And I'm like, to me it means freedom.
Yeah.
It's it's whether it's financial freedom or having more freedom to do what it is that you love. Let's say you want to spend more time with your kids at the weekend, and so you need to quit your job and find a different one, but you're scared. Like, just be politely rebellious. Find yourself a Monday to Friday so as you can spend the time with your child at the weekend. You want to become a counsellor, but you've been saying that for 5 years. Well, just apply for the course and do the course. I feel like you found your freedom.
Yeah.
Which is pretty epic. Well done.
Thank you.
No, you should be so proud. I hope you're proud.
Are you very proud of myself.
Good.
That's
good.
It's another thing. It's a fine line between confidence and arrogance.
100%. But
people who know me know this is the way 100%. I am. Everything's just straight down the middle of me, and I am really proud of myself. I've done a lot, but it's only when you reflect on it.
Yeah.
And actually look back, like when you have an anniversary come up and you see a little video and you think, oh my gosh, I've done that, and that.
Yes.
The same for you as well.
Yeah. I mean, this podcast isn't about me. Let's not go down that road. But thanks. So if you could see someone on Being Politely Rebellious in Pompey, who would you want sat in that seat?
I know an awful lot of really amazing people.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go for a lovely guy called Gary Files.
Gary Files, F-Y-L-E-S?
F-Y-L-E-S.
Okay.
And he actually owns a company called the Thinking Bigger Limited Company. He's an absolutely lovely guy. So if I had to recommend someone, I'm going to recommend him.
Okay.
Because I like his ethos, I like what his company stand for.
Yeah.
I like him as a person.
He's being politely rebellious.
He is.
And he's based in Pompey.
He is.
Mr. Files, we're coming for you. I can't thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough. You're such an inspiration.
Thank you.
And you just ooze positivity. And I don't. When you were saying about the arrogance thing, like, one thing that's always struck me about you actually is your lack of arrogance.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Like, you are direct, and like it's black or it's white kind of thing, and you know what you're talking about. So I don't think that you can be arrogant in a horrible way when you can back up what you're talking about. But you always show up for people as well. I mean, I know I can talk for myself, but you've always shown up. You always show up for other people, and I just think that's so beautiful. Such a beautiful trait to have, and it explains why so many people show up for you.
Yeah.
And I hope that people continue to back you and support this new part of your journey. I mean, if you can't be your biggest cheerleader, who's going to be? And it's not like that all the time, is it? I mean, I don't know about you, but personally, I get my anxiety and my imposter syndrome and wish I'd have done this 2-3 years ago, but I haven't been able to allow myself to do that because of what I tell myself in my head. But it's when you're on your game like that big things happen, right?
Or when you're ready. It's when you're ready. It's the same as I was talking about me and my partner the other day to someone, And I said, if I had met him, I'm not someone who believes in soulmates or that love necessarily lasts forever.
Okay.
I'm all about the moment. And me and him have been together 12 years.
I was going to say,
and it's, it's
yeah.
beautiful. I love him, he loves me. If you said to me, you're going to be given next week, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
He's like, what? I can't tell you, because I don't know the future with me and him for that. However, if I had met him a year earlier, or 2 years earlier, or even 3 years earlier, so I had 9 years where I was single.
Yeah.
Single.
Yeah.
If I'd met him then, me and him may not have ended up getting together because I had to go through what I had to go through. So you come into all of this, you had to go through exactly what you had to go through to be ready.
Yeah, you're right.
I would never have. Would I have been ready? I wasn't ready to do this. This opportunity for me to teach spiritually, do spiritual development groups, and be a healer and all that stuff. I've been qualified for all this for years.
Yeah.
I've been dibbling and dabbling for years.
Yeah.
I've got the business cards, I've got the t-shirt, I've got myself a cabin, I've got all this, I've got the insurance.
Yeah.
But did I go, okay,
I'm ready,
let's give up that job? And I'm very much a realist. And I can look at my finances and go, right, oh yeah, I had £400 in 1 hour there. That was a really good day. That month I earned £13 from my other jobs. Oh, gee, I wonder whether I can afford a rent or a mortgage. I mean, rent's £500 at the moment. You know, so I'm a realist as well, but you have to be ready to go, okay, let's take that leap. And I wasn't ready even a year ago.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, I'm biting.
Give it to me.
Biting, I'm like, let me do it. Let me put all of that energy into doing it.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done, girl.
Before you were talking about the process, what was it you were talking about?
The process of writing the book.
The process of writing the book. There was something else you said. What was it?
Don't worry, we can edit.
What was it you said?
What did I say?
You said about the process. There was something else I thought I need to mention that.
So, like, do you think?
Oh yeah, I've got it.
Right, she's got it.
You
Right.
ready?
So, where were you before we did this moment?
I'm asking you where we were.
Okay.
Oh, hang on 2 seconds. I've lost it again. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, about the teaching and the training.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're a qualified teacher. Yeah.
So you were saying earlier about me being a qualified teacher, qualified trainer. I'm also a Reiki Master.